Hello, welcome back to my channel. For today's episode of Cat Tries to Bake, we're going to be trying a recipe that my dear friend Naomi recommended to me. We will be making toasted sesame cookies, and the recipe is from Food 52. If you want to try this out at home, you can check out the recipe in the description of this video. I'm pretty familiar with how to make cookies. I sell chocolate chip cookies and sugar cookies and creme brulee sugar cookies, which are a crowd favorite, on my website, tinyurl.com/catsbakes. But obviously the toasted sesame component of this recipe is super unique, and I knew I wanted to try it as soon as I saw the recipe. So let's get started. I've already preheated my oven to 350 degrees. I don't know if anyone else does this, but I have a little trick to prevent the bottoms of my cookies from burning. I just take a small sheet pan and I put it on the lower rack, and that just ensures that the cookies will bake evenly. So I have my little sheet pan in the preheated oven right now. To start, we're going to mix together our dry ingredients. Here, I already have 249 grams of all-purpose flour. In the same bowl, I'm going to put in 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. Lastly, in my bowl of dry ingredients, I'm going to put half a teaspoon of baking soda. I've set my dry ingredients aside for the time being because now I'm going to work on my wet ingredients. As you can see, I've got my handy dandy stand mixer here, and I will be fitting it with the paddle attachment. First thing we're going to put in is a stick and a half of room temperature unsalted butter. I'm just going to beat the butter by itself first for about a minute on medium speed. My butter is nice and fluffy, so I'm gonna mix in my sugars. I've got 200 grams of granulated sugar here and 100 grams of dark brown sugar. Whenever a recipe says brown sugar, I always use dark. I don't know what it is, I just love that molasses flavor, so you can use light brown sugar if you'd like, but I will always be using dark. And now I'm gonna mix this for about 2 to 3 minutes. That's all done now, but before we move on, I just wanted to say I let it beat for about 2 minutes, and then I took my spatula and I scraped down the sides and I let it beat for another minute. Now I'm gonna add in the rest of my wet ingredients. Got 1 large egg, 2 tablespoons of toasted sesame oil. This just says 100% pure sesame oil. I don't know what the difference is between toasted and untoasted. I hope this is right. Anyway, 2 tablespoons going in. I love sesame oil. I use it in Asian style cooking anytime I can. 1 tablespoon of water and 1.5 teaspoons of pure vanilla extract. Alrighty, I'm gonna mix this on low until everything's combined, and I'm gonna stop every couple minutes to scrape down the sides and then beat again. While my ingredients were mixing, I went on my phone and looked up what the difference was between regular sesame oil and toasted sesame oil. Something I should have done before I started. There is a difference. I thought there wasn't. I learned something new. But I was reading an article that said regular sesame oil is light in color and toasted is dark. This looks pretty dark to me. So even though it doesn't say the word toasted, I hope it's okay. My next step is gonna be to mix my dry ingredients in. And now I'm gonna mix this on low until it's combined. This cookie dough is looking pretty combined, so I'm gonna move on to my last step before I put this in the oven. Up next, I'm going to chop up 3 ounces or 85 grams of dark or semi-sweet chocolate. I love dark chocolate, so I'm gonna be using that. Here we go. If I can open this. Just gonna... Apple's looking like she really wants some chocolate, but she can't have any, otherwise she'll die. Right, Apple? Hello! Oh, you're so cute, I love you. What a good girl. I am all done cutting up my chocolate. I'm gonna dump all this in and mix until combined. This is gonna be so good. Pancake, you look like you want some cookies. I have lined my biggest sheet pan with parchment paper, and now I'm going to be rolling my cookie dough into 3-ounce balls. I don't know if they'll really be 3 ounces, I usually just eyeball. I usually just kind of grab a clump, and so they're a little oily, like it is sticking to my hands, but it's also coming off pretty easily. I smell the sesame oil nice and strong. I hope that's a good thing. I think I'm gonna start with 3 rows of 3, just because I don't know how much these cookies will spread. Sometimes I'm able to fit 3 rows of 4, but I just don't want to risk it. Before I put these in the oven, I wanted to go over the very specific instructions that are in the recipe. So first, I'm going to put this in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 9 minutes. We want the cookies to spread flat but still be a little puffy in the middle. After 9 minutes have passed, I'm gonna lift one side of the pan slightly. I'm gonna lift it about 4 inches and then gently drop it back onto the oven rack. Apparently that's to make the edges of the cookie set, and that will deflate the middle of the cookie. Then after that, they're expected to puff up in the middle again every 2 minutes or so. So after every 2 minutes, I'm gonna lift the pan up and drop it again. And I'm gonna do this a few times until a total of 15 to 16 minutes have passed. So we want these cookies to end up looking super flat and spread out. The edges are gonna be golden brown and the middles are gonna be lightly cooked. Whew, fingers crossed. I've never made cookies like this before. I just took my cookies out of the oven and they are so pretty! They smell incredible. I feel like the mix of sesame oil and chocolate is really unexpectedly nice. At least it smells nice. I have not tasted it yet. The only problem is I forgot a step. I forgot that after you make your cookie dough balls, you're supposed to roll them in sesame seeds. I only have white sesame seeds, and the pictures in the recipe have a really cool mix of black and white, so the cookies look more interesting. I don't really use black sesame seeds for anything, so I didn't want to just buy them for this. I'm just gonna sprinkle these on. I know it's not gonna be the same, but I will remember for the next batch. Okay, they're sort of just bouncing off the cookies. It's fine. Also, I'm really glad that I only put 9 cookies on here instead of 12 because they spread out so much. A few of my cookies are sticking together, but that's not a huge deal. I definitely have to actually roll the cookie dough balls in sesame seeds the next batch. I'm gonna let these sit for about 10 minutes, and in the meantime, I'm gonna use up the rest of my cookie dough. This pan's a lot smaller than the other one, so I'm only putting 4 cookie dough balls. And this time, I'm not forgetting to roll them in sesame seeds. I have some sesame seeds here, and I'm just gonna there we go, that's nice. The sesame seeds are sticking to the cookie dough so nicely. That worked really well. I'm gonna do it with the rest of them. My second batch of cookies are done. They definitely look a lot more like the pictures in the recipe because I rolled the sesame seeds like I was supposed to. But since my first batch of cookies is completely cool, I'm gonna try them first. Very unique. Very good. It is a really crispy cookie. If you're more into chewy cookies instead of crispy, then I would recommend maybe not doing the thing where you lift up the pan and drop it because that really flattens out the cookie. If you hear some munching, by the way, my dogs are having dinner. I personally do really like a Apple's drinking water. I personally do really like a chewy cookie, so maybe next time I will sub out half the all-purpose flour with bread flour and I won't drop the baking pan. But the flavor is good. You know, when I was making the cookie dough, I felt like it was a lot of sesame oil to put in. Like 2 tablespoons is a lot because sesame oil is super strong, but it's pretty subtle. You sort of just taste a hint of the sesame oil and it pairs so nicely with the chocolate. I do really like finding the little pools of chocolate inside the cookie. Now I know I didn't roll this first batch in sesame seeds, but I feel like the only difference is probably gonna be texture, so I think I'm gonna call this video right here. I would definitely make these again, especially for friends of mine who I know are fans of crispy flat cookies, sort of like Tate's cookies. It was a really easy recipe to make and I basically had all the ingredients I needed at home. The only things I would change are, like I said, I'd probably make the cookie a little chewier and it would look cooler with a mix of white and black sesame seeds, so maybe I'll do that next time. That's all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye!